Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today? This is the Up for Grips show. I'm Brian, and that over there is.
Leonard Verdetta.
And our special guest today happens to be Domenic Jungling. How you doing, there,
Hello.
brother?
I'm doing great, brother. Doing great.
Not too bad. And Dom and me were actually good friends back in high school there. And
I know.
I do have to ask, because you've been in Atlanta for a good while, right?
I'll be in Atlanta for 2 years in March, this coming March.
I had a lot because you remember our old friend Julian?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, he actually moved down there briefly. And I was actually thinking, like, oh,
Hey,
he did. I was thinking, like, oh God, if those two run each other, I don't know what Dom's going to think. So,
first of all, I wouldn't even recognize the guy. I'm not gonna lie. I totally forgot what he looks like. He probably looks very different than when we knew him on the football team back in middle school.
that's true, yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Dom tackled Jordan Pascourse during one of those tackling drills.
Yeah, it was awesome. This dude, okay, for reference, Jordan Pascourse was this huge hulk of a man in high school. He looked like he was 30.
Big guy.
And he's a big dude, and he looked like that as he's senior in high school. And that was my crowning achievement in football, was tackling Jordan Pascourse and actually getting him to the ground. And everyone was like, "How the hell did you do that?" I'm like, oh,
I chopped off his legs. That's what I was like. Just had to go
yeah,
for the
I
legs.
don't know. I don't know. I'm just fourth string. I can't even believe I'm on the field.
There's that too. And, the funny thing was, is, like, everybody like shrunk after the senior class before us on the football team. So now it's like,
Yeah,
and
we got out. We got out anyway. Like the football team wasn't particularly good anyway,
yeah.
so it wasn't worth being on the team anyway. We went on to bigger and better things.
Well, I would
Yeah,
say
we
in middle
got-
school we were actually pretty good, at least when we were in seventh grade. So
Right. But then I don't know about you, but I stopped growing. So everyone else kept getting bigger. And I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore.
I've shrunk. That sort of
I
thing.
shrunk. I'm just not growing anymore. Everyone's kicking the crap out of me now. I can't do it.
All
Well, I
right.
was
Also, what can I do that doesn't put my face in asphalt every single day?
I see. Sorry, Leia. What were you gonna say?
no, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. No, I was just gonna say that all of us went to the same school, which is pretty cool. And
Yeah.
I remember like in 2010 for high school wise, like that was probably like the best football team that we had that
Mhm.
time of the decade. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Brian and I weren't on it.
Letty and you weren't on it. I was actually on it, and that was junior year.
Were you?
I was
Wait,
on
what-
it. Yeah,
what-
I did. I did all throughout high school.
Really? I didn't know that.
Did you
I
see me
forgot
wearing the
about
jerseys on Friday nights?
I blocked out all the jocks. I got into drama club. I got into singing. I did. Yeah, I ignored that crap. I didn't care. I just cared about the half days when we had those stupid assemblies.
That too. And actually, I was the only. I shouldn't say only because I think Noah Schulman was also. I think he was more in the band, but I thought at times I saw him playing cello. But I was the only
Yeah.
one in the orchestra wearing the football jersey, so that was
That's
definitely funny.
hilarious. Oh, dude, I didn't know that. That's hilarious.
And actually, speaking of which, after high school, I honestly thought you and Andrew Benton would be guys forming like a Monty Python sort of acting crew. To be honest,
Should have. No, Andrew went into the Marines.
that's right. Yeah, and you
Yeah,
said he
he's
became a sergeant.
military. He's a first lieutenant.
That's
Yeah.
so sweet. It would be nice
yeah.
to get back in touch with him. I love Andrew. He was always funny.
Still one of my best friends. We still keep in touch. I was actually on the phone with him last week.
Oh,
I
sweet.
was kind
I'll have to
up
ask for
with
those
it.
details later, but not to get
Oh,
off
yeah.
topic here. But so the way this podcast works is we kind of like to get to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And
Mhm.
last week we actually started with technology. We actually invited Stephanie Bennett on, and
Okay.
since you happen to be our big shot actor right now, we're gonna get to know a little bit more about it. So, got some questions
Yeah.
here. You all ready?
Yeah, ready when you were, man. I
All
wouldn't
right.
say I'm a big shot, but I'm definitely doing stuff.
I was
I'm
trying.
not there yet. I'm not there yet.
I was trying to be.
Trying to think
I was trying to be
big.
nice. I was giving a compliment. So, all right.
Appreciate
So-
it.
So, Letty, actually, thanks for the questions here, too. I actually wish I had made some, but I'm going to use your list here. But,
yeah, go ahead. Just shoot the first question. Yep.
all right, so start with here. Why did you want to be an actor? And what was your motivation for being one?
So, gosh, really, it started back in high school when we met. Because I didn't really, we grew up doing sports. Did football, did soccer, I did fencing, I did swimming, cross country with Lenny. Yeah, I mean, I did all that stuff, and I didn't really get to. I didn't really seem to fit in if that makes any sense.
I mean, it was Hampton, so
right? Go figure.
All the rich white kids, that sort of thing.
It sucks when you're the white kid and you're not rich. Then you really feel it. Then
We're
you're
in the
like,
middle.
oh, it sucks.
We're the middle pack right there.
Wait a second. I shouldn't be doing it. But no, when I got into it, I had always, as a kid, been into like action figures and creating voices. Like instead of like going out and playing with the kids outside, elementary school and stuff like that, I would actually sit in my room and play with my action figures. And I would create these scenarios for them, and I would do different voices, but just by myself with all of them spread out around me. And I would just like pick them up and like create these stories for just hours and hours on end. And so I had always done this kind of stuff. I just didn't know it was a job until high school. I didn't really know. And like, even, watching all the movies and stuff, you never really think like, oh, I want to do that. It just never really clicked for me. And so when we did, long story short, we did Aladdin Jr. in 8th grade, and Andrew was going out for the musical, and he said, hey, I just don't want to do this by myself. Can you do this with me? And I was already kind of on my way out from football at that point. And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I always do. I like sing in the church choir and everything, and I enjoy it. I probably can. Everyone says I'm animated. Like I always had that kind of personality. So I tried out. I lost my voice the day before the audition, and I sounded like, and like I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And so I didn't get cast at all. And then my sports background kicked in, and I got really competitive. And I went, no. I'm not losing this. So Andrew got cast. He got the lead. And so I was like, I'm not losing to Andrew. Absolutely not. So we went to high school. We auditioned for the fall play. Andrew got a major supporting role, and I got the ensemble. So I was in the crowd this time. I said, nah, it's not good enough. It's still not winning. But I loved the atmosphere while I was doing the ensemble. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the camaraderie that I had been missing in football and in all the other sports that I had done. I was just clicking with these people. And so then in freshman year of high school, we did Into the Woods. And Andrew got cast in like a smaller role, but I ended up getting a major supporting role for the first musical I'd ever do, ever. And I didn't know what to do. So Dan Franklin, the art teacher, he took me under his wing. He said, he was my first mentor in the business. He was the guy that told me, okay, I see something special in you. And I know you don't see it, but I see it. And I'm going to help you because I think you can really do this. And so then throughout high school, Mr. Franklin was my go-to person. He was the guy that I always wanted to talk to about this kind of stuff. And he got me so involved and so intrigued. And when I get my teeth into something, I have to go all in. I get so invested in it that I want to know everything I can and be so good at it. It's our sports background. Whatever it is, you just become obsessed with it and obsessed to win, So then after that, I started in theater, and I realized, okay, this is actually what I want to do. I'm good at it. Everyone thinks I'm good at it. I know I can do this. I think I could actually make a living doing this. And, Hampton always put so much emphasis and so much pressure on the students to be able to go to college. And so I was like, okay, if I have to go to college, I'm picking the major, and this is what I want to do. So you can imagine mom and dad were not exactly thrilled. But they were like, okay, at least you're going to college and you are good at it. So, fine. You'll just do something else. I was like, probably not, but all right. So I did even throughout college, a couple of years afterwards, cumulatively, I did theater first for about 10 years until switching into film and TV. And it just kind of happened by accident. I got an agent in Pittsburgh. I'm still with them to this day, Doherty Agency. They got me my first on-set experience. They got me my first commercials, stuff that I was like, well, that's kind of where the money is in film and TV and the commercials, especially commercials. Commercials pay a lot of money for you to do that. So after a while, I started getting disillusioned with theater. And I didn't like the camaraderie as much anymore. I didn't like how people were two-faced. I didn't like how people were very fake in theater. At least this is my experience in Pittsburgh theater. I know it's not everybody's, but for me, I experienced there was a lot of nepotism. There was a lot of shady backdoor stuff. And that's not to say that it doesn't happen in film either. It totally does. I just didn't like experiencing it in theater, especially just coming out of college. I didn't like it. And so I started getting disillusioned and I wanted to move on. And I'd always like toyed around with the idea of going into film and TV. And then I finally, during COVID, I was working as a full-time theater actor. I was on tour with the Pittsburgh CLO. I was in The Outsiders at the New Hazlitt Theater. And I had another gig at the Geyer Theater down in Scottsdale, Pennsylvania. I had that all these booked up, and then everything just stopped, you know, like what happened with COVID, just everything went zero. So then I took that time during COVID to like reevaluate and go, okay, if I'm going to go into film and TV, this is when I'm going to do it. While I'm young, while I can go and do like put in the work that needs done. So I just took that shot and I pulled a lot of strings. I had made a lot of connections. I'd networked a lot over my years. And some of the casting directors that I got in touch with, they were like, you need to go to Atlanta specifically. And because I thought about it, I was like, why not LA? And they were like, well, there's a bunch of different reasons. And I did my own research with it, but LA is just, you don't have to do it anymore. You know, I know this is like going over into like other questions right now, but but that's what made me come to Atlanta at first. I was like, there's no point in going to LA right now. Atlanta is the hub. This is where all the film productions are. A lot of casting still happens in Los Angeles, but they bring them over in film here in Atlanta. So you get a lot of the LA connections here. So you can start not from ground zero anymore. But long answer to a short question, like, why do I do this? I'm passionate about it. I love what I do. I get to be a different person all the time, and I get to have fun. It's very fun, and you meet the most incredible people. It's never the same. It's just, for me, a 9-to-5 never would have cut it. I would be too much in a box. I have to be outside the box. So that's why I still do it. And a lot of it, too, is because of, in my opinion, is mental illness. Like, you're not mentally sane enough to, like, want to do acting full time. You know what I mean? No one in their right mind wants to do this for a living all the time. No, you can't. But at the same time, too, like, growing up, I was diagnosed with major depression at 7 years old. And I had a lot of anxiety, and I was really socially awkward. Very socially awkward. Brian remembers.
I was next to him in chemistry class too, so
I know. Yeah,
that bugged the hell out of him too. So that was funny. Dr. Adams, oh man, that was when the lithium exploded.
I'm like, no, I'm talking to me.
That was the guy. Yeah.
But growing up with that kind of mental illness, to be able to be somebody else when you're not comfortable in your own skin helps you a lot in figuring out who you are. And so I think that's important to know, that you want that attention, especially being adopted too. I wanted the attention that I felt like as a kid I didn't have because I had been given up at birth. And you think like, oh, but maybe if I'm out there and people see me and they like me, then they'll accept me. And in the way that I didn't get that growing up, or at least the way I felt as a kid. Because when you're a kid, obviously you can't look at it from the different perspectives of like, yeah, but you were taken in, you know, somebody chose you. You were chosen for a reason. But you don't know that as a kid. All you can think of is, why didn't they want me? So to me, doing theater and now doing film and TV, there's always that people want me now. There's that psychological, people want to see me. And that gives you a sense of joy that is indescribable. it's this horrible feeling that you have to have people like you in order to feel validated about yourself. That validation is really, there's definitely some subconscious evidence of it, but why I continue to do this is because I'm just passionate about it. I like it. I love it. I love the art of performance. I love any type of that. Like even stuff like animation, voiceover. Voiceover is huge. I love voiceover. To be able to create a character with just this is incredible. Like R.I.P. the great Kevin Conroy made his entire life off of just being Batman, but he was like Batman in physical appearance way later in life. He was Batman because of just his voice. To be able to create that kind of iconic character, like any aspect of that of performance is just so cool to me. You know, I think it's phenomenal.
That's actually really exciting, Dom, that what you went through in life, like even though there was down moments, there was like a roller coaster. But you know what? You took that motivation and that passion to do something positive with it. So I really commend you for that. That's really great. And I think with your passion and your character leads me to my next question. Our next question here is that what acting movies do you want to do and why?
Well, I've done kind of like a whole spread of different things. I've done drama, I've done comedy, dramedy, kind of done a lot. From what has been happening for me here in Atlanta is mostly dramas, mostly like elevated senses of extreme emotion. I've done a lot of like extreme kind of movies. Like I just was in Savannah, Georgia recently for a couple weekends, and the entire plot is like, it was based around COVID. But like if it was a bad pandemic and people like had to wear masks to even go outside at all, and you're not even allowed outside, you are like confined. And even when you're dying, like the government just can't give you the resources. So people just die in their homes. Like there was a lot of extreme emotion and high elevated circumstances in these that I've tended to be cast in. But what I really want to do, like the kind of movies, I don't care if it's drama or comedy. I love both. I can do both. I enjoy it. Anything pop culture wise. My goal is to be a character that is a pop culture, a significant pop culture icon. You know what I mean? Like Mark Hamill being Luke Skywalker. Like Luke Skywalker itself is like this person that we all think about, even though he's just a character. Pop culture wise, like there's so many different versions of pop culture too, you know? But like being a part of pop culture and like, oh, that's the actor who did this because he voiced this character in my childhood. Like it becomes that special. Or this kind of, he was this character that really shaped how I look at things, that I wanted to be like, that I aspired to be. I'm, this famous character. Not me. Dom doesn't care about being famous one way or another. I don't care about that. I care about making a career out of it. What I care about is the character being famous. I want, like Kevin Conroy being Batman. It's a great example. Like he is solidified in pop culture forever. His name is attached to Batman. But a lot of people don't know what he looks like. Some people do now, but that's the beauty of voiceover, is that you can go to the grocery store and not be hounded because people have no idea what you actually look like, but they know you in a certain way. Like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson can't go out anywhere in public because the dude just stands out.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what he looks like. Everybody knows who he is. Like, wow, he's
Macho Man.
He films Young Rock down here, and he was filming Black Adam here in Atlanta too.
That's right.
Dude was hounded all the time. He had to make his own gym so that he could go to the gym because he would get hounded at public gyms and he would not get a workout in. So he had to build his own gym, which clearly the man can afford, but like, that's a little annoying. It's got to be really obnoxious.
Isolated from the world. That's the thing.
You're like a part of the world and you're not. It's the weirdest thing being famous. And I have no idea what it's like to be famous. I have no idea. People have no idea who I am yet. But I know from people that have glimpsed a little bit of that they're like, your life is totally different. You can't go anywhere. There is no such thing as privacy. People are constantly paparazzis outside your house trying to get a glimpse in pictures. Like, that's real. Mm-hmm. That's freaking real. I don't know if I want that per se to that extent. My friend Chris and I, a guy I met down here, one of my best friends now, one of the first people I met when I moved down here. We were on the set of The First Lady, which is a Showtime show. We were both, he was like a White House correspondent character, and I was an FBI agent. But we met on that. And Chris and I agreed that we kind of want John Lithgow fame, if you know who that is.
Be honest, I don't.
That's why. Because John Lithgow is the voice of Lord Farquaad in Shrek. You would know, see what I mean? You know who he is, but he can go out to a grocery store and people won't bother him. Now, I think some people will know him if they know older movies. He's also in The World According to Garp. He's done a lot of other things, but you know him, but you don't. It's that kind of fame. Like, I want people to know who I am, but I don't want people to bother me 24/7. You know, it's that fine line. So we talked about having John Lithgow careers. You know, I want to have that. But I want to just any kind of movie that's pop culture based. I would love it. Sci-fi. Oh my God, I would give my left nut to be in Star Wars. I don't even care what the character is. I don't care. I could just be that guy that gets shot on camera and you have no idea who he is, but I just want to be a part of it.
You'd be a stormtrooper with a cheap armor then.
I don't care. I was a stormtrooper. I'm in Star Wars. I am in the movies. I am canon. That's all I would love anything in that regard.
Actually, my dad talked about that. And sorry, Lenny, let me just interject.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
You kind of notice. Sorry, you kind of notice too. The stormtroopers never really could shoot straight either, too. So you tend to wonder if they have better eye insurance programs or something like that.
You'd think the Empire would be able to afford UPMC insurance, but hey, whatever.
I don't know. I think could we call it I was trying to think of something with Universal, but I mean, you got the whole universe there. So I mean,
Stormtroopers got to have a union, man. I wonder if there's a Stormtrooper union.
Oh gosh, that'd be hilarious.
I wonder. I don't know. Vader's fist or something.
I was also going to say Mark Hamill doing the voice of the Joker too, when he and Kevin Conroy did it together too. So
yeah, and how he's made a huge career. People know him as Luke Skywalker from his face, but yeah, he's iconic as the Joker. He's iconic as Fire Lord Ozai in Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's done so many different voiceover work because he just didn't want. He wanted to be able to have the talent and be able to use it and create a real career out of it, but not focus solely because people know him as Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean?
I thought you wanted to do something like a duality sort of thing. So Luke Skywalker was that good guy, and then Joker's.
And then all he's done is play bad guys. It's hilarious. It's great.
No, actually, he was golden in the Arkham series. Did you ever play that?
Yeah. That was one of the times when him and Kevin Conroy actually got back together and everything. It was nice.
In a long time, yeah. That was I think that was the animated series when they used to do Batman then, and then I forget who else. I think they brought back Harley Quinn. I forget what her name is.
They did. Harley Quinn was originally created for Batman the Animated Series. She was just made. She was never in the comics, and then became this pop culture icon of a character.
Love interest of the Joker too. So
yeah, perfect.
But I'm sorry, Lenny. Did you want to say something earlier or?
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot because my cat's trying to knock over stuff. Camera, so.
Fair enough.
All right.
No, I remember. Here, it came back to me. So yeah, no, they're making so much Star Wars series now that honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you could get a part, even if it's small or big. So
one day, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It kind of goes into one of the other questions that I know you had sent me as well. But you kind of have to have a presence in Los Angeles in order to get involved with the big projects like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, anything.
Disney.
Netflix, Disney, anything. You have to have that presence and be able to have an agent in Los Angeles at that point. Now, do I feel like you need to live in Los Angeles anymore? I think it's debatable. And that's why Atlanta was kind of like the smart move. It's more economically smart. I don't have to have 3 jobs just to make ends meet now. I don't have to do it. But self-taping was huge, especially after COVID, where I can film auditions in my living room and send them to casting directors. And then they can view that, instead of me having to go there. So you don't have to, like, if I wanted to, I've submitted so much for Los Angeles, and I've had a few auditions and callbacks for it. But it's all because I've submitted from Atlanta. I never once had to go to Los Angeles. I never had to live there. You just have to have a way of maybe getting there. If they were like, if it's a Disney executive and they're like, we're interested in you for this role, you need to be here so we can meet you. That's different. Get on a plane. I think it's easier to get on a plane than live in Los Angeles, and somehow. I bet you anything with Los Angeles traffic, it's quicker for me to take the plane from Atlanta than it is to go all the way to Lake Soho or whatever.
True.
That's what I say. I thought LA was too crowded, so I would say that's the
People
other side now to
moving
me.
out too. People are moving out after COVID, after the all the wildfires, political unrest. People are moving out of California. Atlanta started becoming the hub, and people are coming here in droves. It's nuts.
Either that or Texas.
More and more so. So this is like where they're filming everything, and like I said, you network with LA people that go back and forth all the time, and then once you're over there and you know the right people, because I learned something here in Atlanta. It's not, they always talk about like, oh, it's who you know in the business. It's not actually true, in my opinion. It is who you know to an extent, but it's who knows you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If they know you, you might know them, but if they know you and they go, hey, this person would be great for this, that is much better than you saying, hey, I know this person, give me an audition. They don't care. First of all, you could be lying. They don't know. But if that person, your connection, that casting director is like, actually, I know this person. I know Dom from Atlanta, and he's auditioned for me a handful of times. He gives me quality stuff. You should see him for Jason Todd for this huge DC movie.
Yeah, there it is.
So Dom's computer died on him, so.
That was me. My bad.
All right.
I got my phone now, though, so we're good.
I guess just pick up, remember where you left off? Because I guess you go to one of your long talks there.
I know. What was I talking about?
I think it was if somebody knows you in the industry.
Oh, it's not about you knowing somebody. It's not about who you know. It's who knows. And it's who knows you. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, okay. So, so necessarily, like, long story short, you don't need to live in Los Angeles anymore to be able to make a career in film and television or commercial work. Commercials, I know Miami is really big for commercial. I believe Charlottesville is also really big for commercials. Chicago. Pittsburgh actually has been mentioned a lot while I've been down here. Pittsburgh is huge now for on-location casting.
Yeah, I do remember that, and actually I got a cousin who is actually a filmmaker. He works in the Pittsburgh region, so that's pretty interesting.
It's true.
But I guess I'll jump into this next question here. So one of the things I think that makes movies like real good in terms of also with the actors and actresses who are portrayed in them, it's more of like the message that I guess they try to show to people there, I guess. Is there a particular message to people that you want to give when you act?
That's a good question. And I thought a lot about it. Because what is it that you want people to take away from you? Like, especially if you're known for certain roles. I think for me, one way or another, I want someone to walk away. I want someone to walk out of the theater after watching me on the screen to be affected in some way. Whether that means you thought it was hilarious and you're laughing about it, it makes you think about the world, it made you cry. It gives you, like, it makes you go introspective on yourself, and like, I related to that character. I think that's the big thing. As long as somebody is affected by what I do, because that's really the goal of an actor, is you want the audience to be affected. And that's how you're a good actor, instead of like, oh, I just like, what's the difference between a good actor and a bad actor? You don't believe. A good actor is someone you believe so much so that you see yourself in that character. I think that's probably where it is. So I want someone, whomever, to be able to walk out affected in some way, shape, or form and be memorable in that way. Now, it could also mean whenever I do a character that means a lot to other people, I think that is important. I think that's something that I want to leave people with. You know, for example, William Daniels is a very prolific actor. The man, he played Mr. Feeney in Boy Meets World. I think that character affected a lot of people. It affected me. It's my favorite character on that show. But he's kind of like, he was all of our teacher. And you're like, okay, what would Mr. Feeney do? How would Mr. Feeney advise me about this? Like that, maybe that advisor kind of role that people look at this character and they go, that's what I want to be like. Or, well, this character, I grew up learning the right and wrong from this character that I ended up playing. And you affect them in any sort of way. I prefer it to be positive, but you never know. Some people are born to play bad guy roles. You know, some people are just, they look like the bad guy, they sound like the bad guy, and they're good at it. And that typecasting is what that's called. That typecasting is actually really important because that just means you have work. You have consistent work because people know what you can do and you do it well. God, who's the woman from... Oh, God, I can't remember her name. She did, it was like Legally Blonde. She was like the older blonde woman. And she was like, oh, yeah, makes me want a hot dog real bad. Like, who's that actress? You know?
Talking about.
It's right on my tongue and I can't remember her name.
I know.
I know.
I was up on the last couple of days.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it in a while. I think I might have seen like bits and pieces, to be honest.
Exactly. She plays that character every single time because she is so good at it. Every time. Now, do you walk away? Like, do you love this character because you just love the character? So you end up loving this person because it's just who they are? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But she's made an impact and a career, a very successful career, off of playing, like, the dippy blonde. She's just so good at it. Whether she is or not, I don't know. I've never met her. But she's made an impact in one way or another. That making that impact is what's really important. So I don't know if there's any particular message. I know that for me, that people will like quote me on certain things more so than any character I've ever done because I've not gotten to that point in my career. But I people will quote me on certain things, but I don't have anything like a message. I just want people to be affected. I just want people to enjoy themselves. I want people to escape for a little bit because the world we live in is harsh. It's hard. You know, it's nice to have that. You need that escape. That's what entertainment is for. To help others escape from reality, to give yourself a little bit of dopamine before you have to walk back out of the movie theater again or off from that stage. You know, I think that's important and I think it's necessary. Especially, and after COVID, it's become very necessary. It's become essential that we feel some sort of way and that there's a way to escape the harshness of reality sometimes. I mean, what were we doing? We binged Netflix while we were at home. You can't say actors weren't important because you wouldn't have had that option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I would say I think I phrased it kind of wrong going into it too. I was thinking like the characters themselves are the ones that, like you remember like some of the Disney Renaissance ones? Because I'm assuming you were born in the 90s. And it was like, damn, those villains were good. And it's like, oh, man.
You look back and you're like, they were so hokey, but so much fun that you end up loving the villain. Even though you know they're bad. And you're like, I know that that's not how you should be. And I don't want to emulate this person. But man, are they memorable. Man, did I just like the villain so much. I was born in 92. I grew up in the Disney Renaissance of things, you know.
Yeah.
We all were, yeah. Goofy movie was awesome.
I would say I did love Jeremy Irons as a Scar.
Yeah. There's so many of those people. See, that was what, for me, it was Aladdin, but it was Robin Williams as the genie.
Oh, yeah.
impacted me as a kid. And Robin Williams was one of my idols growing up. He's always been one of my acting idols because that was the first person that, to my knowledge, the first person that I watched him on screen and heard his voice, and I went, I want to do that. I want to be like Robin Williams. He was a huge inspiration for me. I love his style. I loved his improv. I loved his comedy because he was the one that really, like, if you're talking about messages for people, he was the one that, well, even though he was hurting, and we know now, but even though he was in so much pain, he constantly made us laugh. He constantly made us feel better because he knew what it was like. And from my experience, from me coming from my childhood and what I grew up with, I'm kind of the same way. I was always the class clown. You remember that. I was always the one cracking jokes. I was always making fun and having a good time and having energy, but I would go home and I would be miserable. I'd go home and I would lock myself in my room and hate myself because I didn't like me. But out there, people must like me because they're laughing with me. And I really do feel a day without laughing is truly wasted. Everybody, you need to laugh every single day. Now, am I that kind of, like, am I that funny? But I would. I've never tried stand-up, believe it or not. I would do it. I've always wanted to. But, like I said, I don't know yet in my career. I'm still getting my way in there. I have a long way to go.
I was just waiting for the Joe Pesci line.
I don't know. Maybe there's something down the line that you'll end up hearing. You'll be like, oh, I remember when Dom talked about this. I don't know yet. I'm just here for the ride.
I was just waiting for the Joe Pesci line, just saying, how am I funny? That sort of thing. From Goodfellas.
I love that scene too. You know why? First of all, I love Italian mobster movies. I love Italian. I would love to be in a mobster movie one day. I'd love it. But two, he improv that entire thing. And
they all did, actually.
He was so in character and just totally threw off Ray
Liotta.
Ray Liotta. He threw off Ray Liotta's character so much by throwing that out there, by how quick it is. And it was such a perfect example of his character, too. But it also made you laugh. It makes you laugh, but you're also uncomfortable as hell. You're like, I don't know what that guy's going to do. He's nuts, but I don't know what else to do, so I'm going to laugh. But yeah. I love that stuff. If I could ever have a story where someone was like, oh, did you know that he made this whole thing up? I would die. That would be the funniest thing. I caught it.
I know, you're close. Yeah, come on, man. We got children watching this show.
We're keeping it PG here.
All right. No worries.
Yeah, almost went full Pesci there.
I know. I'm sorry, Lenny. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I was saying, no, you're good, Dom. No, from the question that you just answered, just like, for example, like Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Williams, like you just said. Mm-hmm. Robert Williams just remind me of like Mrs. Doubtfire. Like that's what I grew up on and stuff. But you could see that and there was a meaning behind that story too. And there, how he acted, how that he poured into that character. I mean, he really, I think with his loneliness, he showed that to people. And because with his joking around and stuff, like basically what you said, you're like a joking guy, but behind the scenes, you're like miserable, stuff. Like that's how that's how most people think sometimes, And that's that thing. We just said in our last episode about loneliness being the highest thing. And Robert Downey Jr., like he's like our Iron Man. And with him, like, leaving and him, like, doing like that and his past. He just poured.
Literally rock bottom and somehow changed his life, total 180, and then became the face of Marvel. And the entire MCU that we know today. I mean, what a comeback story. It's inspirational, and it's possible to be able to change yourself. Now, is it really hard? Yeah, especially in this business. Hollywood is very unforgiving. They just can be. It's true. It's a very superficial business to be in. And if you tick anybody off, especially important people in Hollywood, at least from what it used to be, I don't know what it's like now. I think Hollywood still has that kind of... Hollywood will always be Hollywood. Hollywood will always be that center of the film industry. It'll always be the place that you have to be, quote unquote. Maybe eventually, but at the same time, Hollywood also needs to start evolving. It's not like the golden age of cinema that Hollywood used to be. It's not. It can't be like that. The world has evolved.
Yeah, and I'm being honest with you. Like, I don't like how Hollywood's involved with politics, and I feel like entertainment should be
politics. And it used to be involved with politics, though. It used to be very much like that, and a lot of these things were political commentary. Now there's just more of a place to do it. I think Hollywood tends to gear towards, okay, what do people also want me to say? What do people want to hear? What's going to cause drama that'll be able to shift people to watch the movies that we're putting out? Hollywood is also a very, very, very smart villain. They are very manipulative. It's still in the media. It's still a business. Yeah. I'm going to put stuff out there that's going to make you think a certain way. And then I'm going to put movies out that are geared towards that way of thinking that I made you think. So you're going to go funnel your way into there, and then the money is going to come back to me. That's just business. That's Hollywood is no different.
Yeah. And it kind of leads me, it has some ties to where we're going into what you're just basically saying. So let's say this, since you've been in the acting world for a while now, maybe not Hollywood related, but still in that same genre, same area thing, because you never know. Be in Hollywood someday, you never know, like that's the connections. But the question is this, is the acting industry like slave work? Is it like freedom or bondage? Or is it a little bit of both, basically?
Kind of a bit of both. There's a lot of freedom and there's a lot of red tape that you cannot cross. And you are definitely like bonded to, if you sign a contract with any major studio, you are selling yourself to that studio. Your entire being, your entire life goes to them. For what they pay you have to act a certain way out in public. You cannot be like Ezra Miller running around and creating a bunch of trouble. You can't, your privacy's gone. You really are, but there is freedom to it.
Third time a charm.
I know.
All right.
Man, I'm sorry, guys.
Oh,
I
you're
didn't
good.
realize how many technology problems were going to happen here.
Well,
That's my fault.
I guess you have to leave pretty soon, or you got about 20 minutes?
I got about 20 minutes, yeah.
Okay. So I guess you were talking about how is working in Hollywood or in the acting industry like slave work, or is there
Slave
like a
work
little
or
freedom
not.
behind it? Yeah.
Yeah. Long story short, it's definitely a mixture of both. As a independent, like if you're a union, you have to abide by union rules. And that's if you're like a big SAG actor, like in Hollywood. Here in Georgia, it's a little different because it's a right to work state. What that means is that you don't have to join the union in order to do union work. So for me, what that means is I don't actually have to join the union, and I can stay non-union and do non-union projects and not be penalized for it. Because when you're in the union, you can't do non-union work at all. You are forbidden from doing it. When you're non-union, you can do both. If you're not in a right-to-work state like Pennsylvania, if you do, I believe it's 2 or 3 SAG union jobs, 2 you are SAG eligible, meaning you can join, but you don't have to yet. SAG must join is on the 3rd time, and SAG must join means that you have to join the union. You can't do any other work until you do it. You have to join the union then. Georgia, I don't have to do that. I can do SAG work all the time and be eligible to join the union if I really want to, but there's no point in that because then I can't do non-union work, which is most of the work in Georgia right now. Now, if it's something like, okay, but Marvel wants you to do this and you have to sign a SAG contract and you have to be in the union, done. I'm absolutely doing it. But right now in my career where I'm still building up and I'm still getting out there and getting to know people, non-union work is kind of my bread and butter. The independent filmmaker community is where I get most of my work. Commercial wise, I've only done a few SAG projects to date. And all of them have been really commercial work. None have really been film. or television. So you kind of are if you're in the union, you're much more a slave to union rules. And you kind of like when you really hit the superstar level, then I feel like you are kind of selling yourself, and there's a lot of things you can't do anymore because now your face is a part of Marvel's. So if you do something, Marvel's going to have to deal with it. And it makes Marvel look bad. It makes Star Wars look bad. It makes Disney look bad. Whatever it is, you cannot like go out to bars anymore. You can't go to certain establishments because that's not the way you're viewed as a person, and it will destroy your look.
Right.
It'll destroy the image that you've created that they're banking off of. So there's a lot of things you can't do anymore. Non-union, you can do that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like anything goes then. Because there's no, like, if they don't pay you or if they don't have certain amenities or location-wise, like you don't have your own trailer, stuff like that. Like there's like you can't go to anybody saying, hey, they didn't do this, they need to be penalized. It kind of like is what it is. They can pay you whatever. They don't have to pay you SAG rates, which there are certain scales for like per day, for how much they can, like the bare minimum. Union work, they can pay you whatever they want. You want to be a part of it, this is what we're doing. So there is more flexibility. There's more flexibility in being independent. But the art itself, yeah, you kind of slave away at the art. Like if you want to be an actor, there are certain things you got to do, and you might not like it, but you have to do it anyway. You have to pay for classes. You have to get headshots. You have to get real material. You have to get certain wardrobe. You have to understand who you are as a person. And there's a lot of money that goes into acting from the actor standpoint. It's a very expensive hobby if you're not taking it seriously. It's very expensive. So you kind of slave away at the craft, and you have to do something a little bit every single day for it. Which to me, I enjoy it because every day I want to do something for myself. Me as a person, and acting is my business. Me is the business. I have to work on me. Me going to the gym. Me eating right. Me looking a certain way. Making sure my hair is a certain length and it matches my headshot. Because, I mean, small things like that. Changing your hair color. You have to go get new headshots. You can't submit yourself with brown hair and then have the audition and then you have pink hair. It's very unprofessional. You'll be blacklisted. It's not a good idea.
I was just going to say, working at an Italian restaurant, because I know that was some of the things you talked about when we were messaging back and forth. So yeah, you said you also do work at an Italian restaurant too.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, and you got to make ends meet some way. You know, I still have bills, and you got to live that stereotype whatever way you need to. Right now, my stereotype is working in a restaurant. I have to do what I got to do. I make really good money though. So at the end of the day, somebody actually, you know what? That's really interesting that you bring that up too, because I literally had this conversation last night with a table, and they were asking me like, what do you want? Like, how do you like working here? And I was like, okay, well, you're the last table of the night. Nobody else is in here. Do you really want to know how you feel? And they're like, yeah, of course. I said, I don't. They're like, oh, do you like, do you get along with your coworkers? I'm like, yeah, to an extent. I enjoy my coworkers. I like them. Do I want to know everything about them? Absolutely not. I just don't. I have no interest in it. I am not going to be there a long time. I don't want to be one of the servers there that's been there for 33 years. I don't want it. It's just not my life. And kudos to him. He's done he's made a lot of money for him and his family, his grandchildren, his children. That was just what he wanted to do, and I respect that, but it's not for me. I don't want to be there that long. I said by next December, I don't want to be in this restaurant. I want to be a full-time actor. I enjoy it. I'm good at it. I enjoy talking to new people. You never know who you're going to meet. Actually, a buddy of mine who is a server at that restaurant was on Cobra Kai this past season, because the producers for Cobra Kai, when they were filming here, always asked for Billy, and they loved him. And they're like, we need a waiter for a scene, and we love you. Would you be willing to do it? He was like, yeah, okay, tell me that when you're not drunk. They came back and they were like, yeah, we were serious, and I'm stone cold sober. Would you like to be on the show? And so he was the waiter in, what is it, season 5? It's the most recent season.
I haven't actually seen it, so I guess your guess is as good as mine. So
I think he's in episode 5 of the most recent season. I work with the guy. He got that job being the waiter for the producers of Cobra.
That's crazy.
oh,
It's crazy. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. He got paid for it and everything. He got his own trailer, all that stuff. It was just from meeting people. That can happen. And it's a very unpredictable business. You could do everything right and still never go anywhere. You could do everything wrong and still somehow you get picked out of a crowd because you just have a look, because you just sound a certain way. I don't know. It's a very unpredictable business, which is why it's really hard. There's no right way to do it. There are wrong ways to do it, but there's no actual right way to do it. So you have to slave at the art of it. And you have to slave away your life to be able to be you being willing and obsessed to win at this game called acting. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You have to be obsessed to win. And it really is all encapsulating. You think about it all the time. Like, what can I do? What can I do to get myself out there? Content creating is another big thing. Why I don't think you need to live in Los Angeles anymore. Content creators, TikTok stars. That's how you get your name out there. People know you. People see your stuff and whatever kind of brand that you are giving, that you're giving off now. Oh, you create a lot of funny TikToks. You're a funny person. You created this Italian character. I need someone who's Italian or whatever, and like you're enjoyable as that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can think off the top of your head of like these TikTok people that you know that are influencers and what kind of brand they are and why you like them. That's acting. That's part of the business of acting. And I think a lot of people don't really understand the business yet. They understand what you need to do, but they're not willing to do whatever it takes because it's really difficult, because it's really, really hard. And you question yourself all the time and you get rejection all the time.
Existential crisis.
You go, who am I? At least twice a week. You go, what am I doing with my life? Who am I? Is this really what I want to do? I've been doing this for so long, and I've been doing this right, and I know these people. When is it going to happen for me? You just have to throw those thoughts out of your head. You can't think about that stuff anymore. Don't ever say, when's it going to happen? You have no idea. But the best advice, I was here for 3 days. I had just moved here from Pittsburgh. I met Alexander Ludwig on the set of Heels. It was the first job I did when I was here. And Alexander Ludwig is in Vikings. He was in the Hunger Games. I recognized him. And I got to talk to him. And I said, I'm new here. Do you have any advice for me? And he was really good about telling me exactly. He was like, yep, here's 3 things you need to know. 1, get an agent. You need an agent down here. You have to do it. Cool. 2, get in classes. Keep yourself trained. Keep yourself sharp. Also, people think you're an amateur when you're like, I don't need to do classes. Or I just do it by living my life. It's very amateurish. Get in classes. I was like, okay. He goes, 3, and probably the most important thing. I will tell you this. From what he told me, he was like, I have been on set. Most of the time, it is not the most talented people that I work with. It is just the people that stuck around the longest. You don't need to be super talented. You don't need to be Robert De Niro. You don't need to be Robert Downey Jr. You don't need to be named Robert. You see, no, but you don't need to have that kind of immense talent. It's Duvall. The people that stuck around. It's that cliche of not giving up. People that will make it whenever they make it. It's that one role that'll change everything. You just have to keep going until it happens. I don't know when it's going to happen for me. I know it will happen because I just don't accept any other outcome. I will not accept defeat. I will not accept that it won't happen for me because I'm sticking to it and I'm going to keep going until it happens.
That's still the old football self talking to him now.
Huh?
I was gonna say that's still his old football self talking to him from 7th grade.
Told you that competitiveness that sticks with you.
Yep.
I'm very grateful that I started acting very late, considerably. Because you always hear about like, oh, I was in musicals when I was 6 years old. I was a ballerina when I started dance at 4 years old. I didn't start till I was like 16. I did sports, and honestly, I'm very grateful to that because it created that drive and that sense of ambition in me to be able to make it. I know what it takes to play the game, but maybe sports just wasn't where I was meant to be.
I see. It was funny when I brought up the restaurant too, because actually I started working in one too.
Oh, did you?
It was actually a local family restaurant. Do you work in a local family one?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is too, and it's actually a typical bar and grill, but it was actually good for me because I actually never really learned how to cook, so it's my free culinary school to say the least. So that's always good.
You learn a lot more skills there. I learned how to communicate. I learned people skills from being a server, from being a bartender. You're right. I learned how to cook being in the restaurant industry for so long. It's great.
Definitely says they go to college and culinary school for that kind of stuff.
I mean, they've learned all the fancy stuff. You at least know how to make a burger.
That too. It's more of the quick and easy stuff too. We go deep fried and some pasta stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's quick and easy too. It's at least borderline fast food to say the least. But regardless,
Yeah.
I guess Lenny, do you think he's answered most of them, or do you think there's one question that we haven't gotten to yet?
Well, let's say this. You have answered pretty much most of them, but here's probably the biggest question,
Okay.
Because it just goes into the deep question that I think most people hear the rumors, and I think there's hidden truth to it. That is it true that people actually sell their souls to the devil to get a good acting career?
In a sort of way.
That's a good question. Like, do you?
Because I believe it.
You do? What?
I think.
Why?
I was going to say Lenny believed it or something.
Okay. Yeah. Why?
Because the thing is, like, you see those TikTok videos, and just like even before TikTok came out, like you kind of just hear like rumors of like people selling their souls like to the devil. Like it doesn't even have to be acting; it could be celebrities. Like for like singing wise, like for example, Jack Black. It was on a recent TikTok or a YouTube video short where Jack Black sold his soul to the devil, or a couple other actors. So that's kind of why I bring it up. Like, have you heard of that, or have you?
Oh, I've definitely heard it.
Yeah,
I've definitely heard it before.
Yeah,
I think what it is the people that you're not. Think of it this way: people always say, "I'll do whatever it takes." I'll do whatever it takes. Do you really know what whatever it takes really means? What are you willing to give up in order for this to be successful? Do you have no's? Do you have certain things that you will not do? Because then if you do, if the answer is yes to that, then you are not willing to do whatever it takes. So I think, to me, like when I hear people are like, oh, did you, like, I sold my soul to the devil. It's because they didn't realize what exactly they had to give up in order to make this achieved, to whatever goal it might be. For acting, to be the superstar, I don't think people really understand how much privacy they really give up. You give up a family life too. You are on set all the time. You are always doing something for the studio. You are busy. You're not around to take your kids to school. You're not around to be around for holidays because you got to film, and this film has a deadline, and you have to work on Christmas. Are you willing to sacrifice family life? Look at Tom Brady. Did Tom Brady sell his soul to the devil? Yes, he probably did. I say that all the time about Sidney Crosby. I'm like, that man sold his soul to the devil, and the only thing that he had to give up was that he could not grow a beard. He could not grow facial hair to save his freaking life. But he has to grow it every year to be the best hockey player in the league, in the world, but can't grow a playoff beard to save his life. I think that was his trade-off. But same thing, Tom Brady. He just divorced Giselle because he could not, for selling his soul to the devil, quote unquote, to play the game of football. he could not have a lasting marriage. Are you willing to do that? That's the question that people don't ask themselves. I think that's part of the answer.
Yeah,
do you think sell their souls to the devil? Yeah, probably. Or they signed away not reading. They didn't read the contract. They didn't read the fine print.
They didn't read that pop-up window that says, like, do you want to accept the so-called rules to this little update we need to do? That sort of thing that Apple sends.
Do you ever read the upgraded terms and conditions? No. I don't care. No, I don't care. Whatever. Yes, agree.
I'm guilty of that. Yeah.
There's that too, yeah.
Everybody does it. Yeah. Everybody does it.
I'm certainly guilty of it too.
You say it's really what are you willing to give up? And what are your no's? It's really important to understand what your limits are and important to know what your no's are. For me, being a single man with no family, no significant other, I'm single. I don't have to. Right now, it's easy for me to say, yeah, I mean, I could give that stuff up because I just don't have it yet. When you have it, your priorities are very different.
I see.
So I hope that kind of answers that. That's just my opinion. It's just my hypothesis, if you will, on. Yeah, I think it's just because people don't really realize what they're saying.
No, I think that's actually good. I think that's good. I think it actually really answers it too. And I think
that's just the part of chasing fame, though. I think you're not doing it for the job. You're not doing it because you're passionate about it. You're doing it because you want the money and the fame.
Right.
I don't want to keep you on too long though, too, because I think we're almost out of time. I guess.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys reaching out. It's good seeing you after all this time.
It was. Yeah, I guess there was one more. I guess should we tell them is there a pure way to do acting than the usual route actors normally go in Hollywood or in the acting industry?
Well, when you say pure, do you mean like what exactly?
I guess standard way, I guess.
Yeah. I guess the standard there was never really the standard was always that I'm going to go all the way to Los Angeles. I'm going to pack everything in my car. I'm going to sleep in my car. I'm going to be able to, I'm going to do the same thing. Sell my soul to the devil, be able to make it. I think content creating, like TikTok, and I think self-taping have changed the game where you can be anywhere now and somehow make it work. And make a career of sorts. If you want to be a Hollywood superstar, yeah, you're going to have to go to Hollywood. It just is what it is. LA is still that powerful. It might not be what it used to be, but it's still the hub. Atlanta is kind of second. In fact, there's more film productions here than in Los Angeles. So as far as work is concerned, Atlanta has it now. This is where to be. I truly don't believe that there is one right way of doing it. Because there are so many different ways you can get into the industry and quote unquote make it based on whatever your definition of making it is.
I would say big money, that sort of thing, yeah. So, all right.
Big money, yeah. I would probably say either going to Hollywood or sticking around and doing non-union work all the damn time.
I see. All right. I guess, Lane, did you have anything else, or are we all go with the questions?
Honestly, I think that's perfect. I mean, Dom, we appreciate you being on the show, man. Hey, maybe in the future you come back on, and then you'll be like, hey, I'm in Star Wars.
Yeah, I know. It could be. You never know. That's the beauty of it.
I will say this.
I never know.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I will say this. There actually is a guy in the music community who dresses like Darth Vader, and he also has a stormtrooper outfit too.
I love it. See, that's a theme, baby. That's the image you want people to have of you, man.
I'll say, shout out to Rockin' Vader, good friend too.
Oh man, I will be obsessed with Star Wars till the day I die. I love it.
Absolutely. All right. I guess, Tom, do you have anything you want to say or any shout-outs? I'm sorry. I was just going to say, Don, did you have any other final words or any questions or shout-outs you want to say?
No, I mean, I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to connect with old friends. It's really great hearing from you guys. And, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, my answers might change. I don't know. That's the beauty of this. I just get to live an adventure every day.
That's good to hear.
And I have fun with it.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so Lenny, we wrap up the show. This was episode 2. It's our good friend Dom Jungling. Make sure to check him out and see. I guess, are you in any movies or projects right now?
Right now, I'm kind of taking a... No, I don't have anything coming up right now. I just finished up on 2 independent short films where I was the leading man. I do have some work. I do have something for next March that I did recently book. It's another short film as well, leading that one. And then we're waiting to hear back from one of the first films that I did. We're waiting to hear back from Sundance that we submitted to. So fingers crossed, we'll be out and about. Next is Cannes, baby. Going to France.
I see. All right.
We'll be sure to tag you and stuff, and even put in the comments too, Dom, of like, you know, what the movies are, the short films, so people can start, you know, seeing you and stuff. So
sure.
On our
like Instagram handle, if anybody wants to follow or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Good with me.
Cool.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, guys.
All right.
I'll talk to you soon. Take care, brothers. It's great catching up with you.
All right. Sayonara.
Yep.
Bye.
Peace
Sayonara.
out.